So just wanted to have a quick look here at this book I've just picked up from Valiant Wings. Ignore the glare there, unfortunately, I can't do much about that on the shiny surface. So this is on the Messerschmitt Bf 109, pretty obvious there, and this is the early series covering the variants from V1 up to E9, and does include the T series, which was I think the prototypes for carrier-based 109s. It says here a complete guide to the Luftwaffe's famous fighter, and it very much is, and you'll see that as we get inside. So just going to show you a few bits here, not a massively in-depth review of it or anything. I mean, it doesn't need reviewing, it's absolutely excellent. If you want the absolute, you know, every bit of detail you'd ever likely to get about any variant of the 109 covered in this. They also do the later variants, so I think they do one from the F right the way through to the K is the next series, so it's 2 books. It's really good, and in the UK this is about just around the £20 mark, I believe, so it's pretty good. And as you can see here as you go through, there's all sorts of different areas covered in the book, and this is starting with the production, so this is showing you the different types. As we get into the E, you've obviously got the V running through to the E, so it goes V and then A, etc. Quite a lot of the early ones were used in Spain or just used in the German Air Force, which obviously didn't see much combat because they were sort of 1936 aircraft, and they were quickly developed. So here you can see this gives you all the specifications, etc., and nice line drawings. Then as you get out of this part, you start getting into the camouflage and marking. So there's a huge breakdown of that. Here's the ones in Spain, for instance. Then we run on through, and we've got some that are starting to go into the Battle of France, and all the way through. And then we've got some in Foreign Service here as well. So this is where some of the Swiss ones are covered, as you can see here. This is very nice. With lots of detail, close up here of the nose markings and insignia and stuff. And then we've got some nice colour profiles as you go through. This is a very good bit actually for breaking down what the different stencil markings are. So if you've ever wondered if you use sort of 1/72 aircraft and you can't read it, well, that's what they're actually meant to be like. And then as you go through, you get some colour profiles again, like I was mentioning, which are very nice. And then we go into looking at it from kit's point of view. So that's one good point of one good aspect of all the Valiant Wing stuff. It comes from a modelling perspective. So you run right the way through the scales. So we start at 1/144th and then run on up to 1/24th. And he goes through the Airfix kits here, and we've got some Academy kits as well, starting off with some of the smaller ones as well. And it's very good. There's a nice long breakdown of each one. So the Academy kit here, it goes through the plastic and the wings, etc., and the pros and cons of each. Then the Verdict at the back, which if I just read this one, this is not a bad kit with the exception of the cow guns, so probably the best way around it to see if you can substitute the cow from the Hasegawa kit instead. Not the best in the scale, but a sound basis and a cheap alternative nowadays. So that obviously gives you a very good overview of what this kit's about. Now do bear in mind, this does come from a point of view of going absolutely into detail. So I mean, the kits are reviewed in a sense of you know, putting the fuselage up to plans and making sure it's accurate in that sense, which not everyone really worries about, but you can take the certain aspects from it that you want. You don't have to sort of be put off it because this chap here says that the fuselage is not the right length, for instance, or if you do like that, then you can use that to your advantage as well. So it's a good book to take bits of information that you want and probably not get too bogged down in the detail if you're not too worried about it. For instance here, I mean, looking at this old Hella B1 version, for instance, which has the raised panel lines, a lot of people have built. If you just pick up a few bits here, it says, you know, the fuselage less than 1 millimetre too long, all at the tail. I mean, you know, a lot of people aren't going to worry about that, but if you do, well then here's your information to know how to sort of correct that. So it's very useful. So running through the scales, obviously you're getting up to 1/32 now, so it goes into there and telling you about the Edward kit and the Dragon kits, etc. Then we go through into the builds. So there is a build of every version right the way through here in one scale or another. So we start on the A or the V version, which is an NPM kit, which is quite an unusual and difficult kit by the looks of it. And as you run through, we start doing the Bs, the As, the Ds, and all the rest of it. And lots of different versions there. There's one that I'm building. This is the Alicat D version for the E1 model in 1/32, and that's quite nice. Explaining how to sort of go through that as you go through, and then a couple more in 1/32. Then we get into looking at the different aspects, really dialing down into the detail of what each aircraft has, for instance. So if we just pick up here, no machine guns fitted above the engine, and the Revi C12B gun sight, for instance. This is on the Bf109A, and then if we skip through so we get to the E1B, for instance, it's got telling you about the different engines and the machine guns that are above, then going into the another slight variant on it, showing that there's a machine gun in the nose cone there and all the rest of it. And again, as you go through the E3 versions, there is an awful lot of different slight variants, and then we get down into the T version as well. So it's very useful from that point of view, if you ever wondered what the actual difference is. And you can see the level of detail here going through, even down to the different types of canopy glass here. And then we've got some nice detail and reference shots. This is the B1 that was captured by the Russians. It was actually captured in the Spanish Civil War by the Republicans and then exported to the Soviets, and they really went all the way through it. So you get some extremely good detailed pictures here of a B1 cockpit, which is perhaps something you wouldn't probably think. Here it is in Republican colours there. It's I think that's either silver or natural metal finish, or it's in just ROM02, and then they put red bands over the Condor Legion markings. And here you can see how useful this is as we're running through these different types of details on the C and the D, and then we've got nice colour pictures here. I think this is of the one in, this is the E3 in Munich, and then we've got some colour pictures again of the one in the Swiss one as well that they've got. There's details of the engine, and as you go through, I mean, it really is endless amounts of detail on the 109, which is a very useful thing to have. Is a very popular subject. Here you go with C and D as well, showing about different parts of the guns and all the rest of it. And then as we get through to the end, you've got a complete database here, a complete listing here of every type of kit that is being released up to the point of this being printed. So that is obviously extremely good. And then we've also got the accessory list here as well. So you've got all the etch parts, resin bits that are all made for all the different kits. Here you can see it's endless here, and then the decals as well. I'm saying all, obviously it's probably not all, but it's a very good attempt at all of them. And then there's a bibliography here of different types of books. So a very useful reference guide, as you can probably see. And then to top it all off, you've got scale drawings here in 1/48 scale of each variant. Now if you want to ever do re-riveting of anything or of a kit, well then here it is. You can scale these drawings, you can print them, and this is the V1 for instance, so this gives you the different dimensions here as you're working through to measure out the fuselage if you want to go that deep into it. You've also got the rivet patterns here. You've got the different setup there of the flight controls for the different variants. And then as we go in here, we've got the B version as well with the same scale drawings, which is extremely useful. And then going over there, we've got some nice big drawings here, pictures here as well of the different versions. And then we've got the T2 and D1. The E1 and E7, E4 at the back here. So as you can see, if you like the Bf109, much like I do, this is a very good reference guide. So check it out. It's available from Valiant Wings. I'm sure it'll be on their website or online in various places. And I believe it's around the £20 mark. I think that's what I paid for it. Yeah, there you go, $19.95. So very useful. And it says here a complete.
I don't have that information on the album Carry Baseball for prototypes.
What?